Hey everybody, I am David, and today I want to talk about my list of the top 10 female superheroes of all time. This is my list, but if you want, please feel free to post your own list in the comment section below. There are no right or wrong answers. Look, I can't fit everybody. This is my own opinion, and we all have different opinions, and that's always cool. And I always like to see what other people's opinions are. Like, what are some superheroes that I left out that other people might have liked and put on their list? I know some of these choices a lot of people aren't going to have on their list. So here is mine. Let's get right to it right now. Starting with number 10, I have Helen Slater as Supergirl. That's right, Supergirl from 1984. There were a lot of choices that I had to pick from, and even though I don't think the 1984 Supergirl movie isn't, I don't think it's a good movie, I do think Helen Slater played it as really well. I think she is just like Christopher Reeve. I think she embodied that character really well. Unfortunately, she was just in a shitty movie, sadly enough, that she didn't get the same amount of love that Christopher Reeve got. And I think if people were to look back at that movie just for her performance alone, I think people would see that, yeah, you know what, she actually is pretty good. That's why it's enjoyable when she actually does show up in supporting roles on Smallville and now the current Supergirl TV series. It's because we all know, those of us that have seen that version of Supergirl know her and respect her for that role and how she brought that character to life back in the 80s. Moving on to our next pick, number 9, I have Storm, played by Halle Berry. I was wondering if I should pick the Storm from the new movie or the old movie. The new movie we didn't really get too much of, so I couldn't really put her on this list. But Halle Berry's Storm, it's interesting because I'll admit I didn't think she was all that memorable in the first X-Men film, or great even. I thought she did all right, but she wasn't a standout, that's for sure. I did see her start to peak in X-Men 2, X-Men United, X2, X-Men United. I thought she started to peak in that movie, but it was really funny enough, X-Men The Last Stand, where I felt that Halle Berry really shined a lot more. And it's funny because that's my least favorite X-Men movie of all time, but I actually do think it's Halle Berry's best performance as Storm of all time. I actually think she's given a lot to do, and she does what she does with it. You know, she pulls out all the stops. I feel like giving her more, she actually used it to her potential. And I'm gonna admit this: when Days of Future Past came out and she came back, I was really excited. And then she's like the first one that they kill off at the end. Spoiler alert. In the apocalyptic future, she's one of the first ones that she kills off in the final battle, and I swear I was like, no, not Storm, no, because you realize how much you really do care about that character by that movie, I believe, anyways. So yeah, she's mostly up here because of The Last Stand and Days of Future Past. I think that The Last Stand is really what cemented her as, yes, okay, I do like this character a lot. At my number 8, I have Jean Grey, played by Sophie Turner. I liked Famke Janssen as well. I thought she did a really good job in those original X-Men trilogy, as well as some of the other movies she popped back in. But I do feel Sophie Turner is going to be a much better Jean Grey, just from X-Men Apocalypse. I know a lot of people didn't really love X-Men Apocalypse. I liked it a lot, actually. Not the best X-Men movie, but I enjoyed it. And I really liked this movie's interpretation of Jean Grey. And I'm looking forward to the Dark Phoenix film. Hopefully a redemption of what we got in The Last Stand with Famke Janssen, who was just standing there doing nothing. So hopefully we get to see Sophie Turner do a lot more than what Famke Janssen got to play. Moving on to number 7, I have Naomi Scott as Kimberly, the Pink Ranger. I had to put a Power Ranger up here. I really wanted to put Amy Jo Johnson from the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. But there were a lot of other superhero actresses that I wanted to put up here as well, the ones that I just previously mentioned. But I had to put Naomi Scott because I really did love that cast from that Power Ranger movie. I think those guys and girls did a really great job at updating those characters from the early 90s and making them more modern in the present day setting. And I think Naomi Scott was a really talented actress. Her and Dacre Montgomery really had nice chemistry there. And this is coming from someone who's a Tommy and Kimberly shipper. There was a part of me saying, you know what, maybe for this movie I wouldn't mind a Jason and Kimberly romance. But getting back on point, yeah, I really do think Naomi Scott is a very talented actress. And I think her and the cast did really well in this movie. And I had to put her up here for that. And I can't wait to see what other character she's going to be playing in the future. As we know, she's going to be playing Princess Jasmine in the Aladdin remake. So that's going to be cool. And let's hope for more roles from her because she's a very beautiful woman. And as well as all the other women on this list, but she's also very talented, and it's amazing when they have both. So moving on to, I don't know if that was weird to say, but whatever. Moving on to number 6, we got Scarlet Witch, played by Elizabeth Olsen. I always like to call her the most talented Olsen, because who knows what happened to Mary-Kate and Ashley. Look, Elizabeth Olsen is amazing in this role, which is weird because when Age of Ultron first came out, I wasn't too sure about her and Aaron Taylor-Johnson playing these characters, because they had these thick accents, which kind of not really took me out of the movie, but a little bit, I'll admit that. But it wasn't until Civil War and Infinity War where the Russo brothers directed her into a much better character. I felt her character was a lot more stronger in those two movies, and that so she wouldn't probably have made my list if it wasn't for the Russo brothers getting this character and crafting it on their own. It would be the first character that they took from somebody else and made improved upon it, and you got to think Elizabeth Olsen also added to it because she is a really talented actress that probably helped a lot with that process of building her character. So yeah, that's why she's on this list. Moving on to my 5th favorite female superhero, I got Valkyrie, played by Tessa Thompson from Thor Ragnarok. I loved Thor Ragnarok, and Tessa Thompson was a joy. You know, I remember her from Creed. She was in that movie, and that was a very serious film. So to have her come on to Thor Ragnarok, I didn't know what Thor Ragnarok was going to turn out to be and what her character was going to turn out to be. But I was pleasantly happy with the way she brought the comedic element and brought some of the dramatics flair as well, but she also had this badass quality to her, which I really enjoyed. She had that spunk that made her enjoyable to watch, and her performance was great. And you know what? She wants to do this all-female Avengers type thing. I'm like, go for it. And I wouldn't mind her being the leader of the group because she is great as this character. And I can't wait to see her, Tessa Thompson, as an actress in this Men in Black reboot that they're doing with Chris Hemsworth. I think the two of them had really nice chemistry together. So I can't wait to see more of this character. Hopefully Thor Ragnarok wasn't the end. The Russo brothers did kind of hint that she is still out there, so we could see more of her. So I'm looking forward to more. At number 4, I have, get ready for this one. I don't know if people will agree with me, but I picked this one. Peggy Carter, played by Haley Atwell. That's right. Okay, Peggy Carter isn't a hero, a superhero, but she is a hero, a regular hero, I think. She did help fight beside Captain America, whether you liked it or not. She was in a difficult time where, women weren't allowed to go out and do this stuff because she was a woman and women are supposed to cook in the kitchen and stuff. Back then, that's what they thought of. I don't think that now. Yeah, it was great seeing a character like that in the army and really feeling that power, that strength that she had to like overcome these challenges during that time. And I'm really sad that Agent Carter didn't last longer than season 2. I'm actually one of the people that really enjoyed Agent Carter season 1 and 2 a lot. And there was during season 1, I would have said, yeah, I like it more than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I didn't like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. so much back when it first started. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. got better later on. But Agent Carter, in my opinion, was great right from the beginning and did pretty good. And you know what? If we get her back in the MCU as cameos again, I wouldn't fight that either. It's always great to see her pop up back on screen as Peggy. And you know where there's a movie we might get that? Another female superhero that we haven't seen yet, Captain Marvel. Since it's taking place in the 90s, we do know that Peggy Carter could have still been working for S.H.I.E.L.D. during that time, so we'll see. Moving on to my third favorite female superhero, I have Black Widow, played by Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett was introduced as Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, in Iron Man 2 back in 2010, helping to kick off the Marvel Cinematic Universe back in its early days. That's what Iron Man 2 was meant for, to show, look, we have a huge universe. And she was badass right from the beginning. I thought Jon Favreau handled that character really good with Scarlett, and as well as Captain America Civil War. I think the Russo brothers and Winter Soldier were the movies that the Russo brothers really knew how to play with this character, because I felt when Joss Whedon had the character, it's funny because Joss Whedon is known as the guy who knows how to write for female characters, and I thought her character was good in that movie, but for some reason people say she didn't have too much character development in Iron Man 2. I'm like, yeah, okay, fine, but she's badass. That's all that matters. And then they gave her more character depth in the first Avengers movie and a little bit more in Avengers Age of Ultron, but I was like, it's all right, but she was more interesting in Iron Man 2. But then the Russo brothers handled her and developed her a little bit more. Same thing in Civil War. And I actually thought that the Russo brothers, just like Scarlet Witch that I had on my list earlier, I think the Russo brothers handled that character really well, especially in The Winter Soldier. I will say The Winter Soldier is probably my favorite movie with Black Widow in that movie. I think she kicks ass, but she also has some layers there that we haven't seen before in either of the Avengers movies or even Iron Man 2. So moving on to my number 2 favorite female superhero. I don't know if people will consider her a superhero. I do. Catwoman, played by Anne Hathaway. I really love the Michelle Pfeiffer version of Catwoman, but that version to me is more of a villain. This one is more of a hero, in my opinion. She's pretty much a partner to Batman by the end of the movie. And she's helping him along throughout the film. Yeah, there's one moment where she kind of betrays him for her own benefits, but she realizes the error of her ways and teams up with him at the end. And I think Anne Hathaway's version of Catwoman is just as great as Michelle Pfeiffer's version of that character. So I think they go neck at neck. And if someone picked one over the other, I get it. They're both really great. So if you pick that one over this one, it's all cool to me. But to me, they're both equally amazing. And Anne Hathaway was a shocker because no one thought she would actually be able to pull off that role. She was like the Princess Diaries. The people thought she was only good for those romantic comedies. But she's like, I'm good at this stuff too. Give me that role. And she knocked it out of the park. So I would have liked to see a spin-off version of her Catwoman instead of the Halle Berry Catwoman, which I would never make this list if there wasn't enough female superheroes out there for me to do this list. Thankfully, there's enough. And that version of Catwoman with Halle Berry, not making the list. This version, hell yeah. Finally, moving on to my number 1 favorite female superhero, of all time. That's right, you guessed it. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I really thought Gal, when we saw her in Batman v Superman, I was already impressed with the action sequence that she got to do, and there were some smaller sequences too where she got to perform, but nothing like amazing. Like, oh wow, she is Wonder Woman. She's non-replaceable. It was this movie though, the actual Wonder Woman movie, that really allowed her to shine a lot more. That showed that, look, she's not an Academy Award winning actress, but she doesn't need to be, because she definitely has this chemistry with Chris Pine that really brightens her a lot more. And the more I watch Wonder Woman, the more I realize how great Patty Jenkins worked with her and made her really stand out a lot more than I did. I still would say that Gal Gadot isn't the best actress in the world, but I will say that, they really utilized her so well that it doesn't matter. No, I really do think she's great in this role, and there's not really much for me to add. As well as the physical aspect. I think she has the physical aspect really well done, and she has this innocent quality to her that was really enjoyable to watch. Like, she could be adorable a lot throughout the movie, but then she turns into this badass once in a while. You don't see that with too many female characters, and I think that's what made Gal Gadot really work. And obviously the fish out of water story, which we've seen plenty of times, but with like characters like Thor or Superman, right? They were the fish out of water before, but not with this type of a character, which was really nice. So there you go, guys. That was my list for the top 10 female superheroes of all time, ready for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now you're probably wondering, wait, David, where's Evangeline Lilly as the Wasp? Even though she was sort of a hero in the first Ant-Man movie, I thought I'd keep her out for now and wait to see Ant-Man and the Wasp to see how badass she's going to be. And I know she's going to knock it out of the park. Evangeline Lilly is one of my favorite actresses, so I can't wait to see what she pulls off. With that being said, guys, I hope you guys like this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Check out my brother's Kickstarter page. He's trying to raise funds for his comic book that he illustrated and written himself. So any little bit helps if you can. And until next time, take care.